All right, last session before lunch, and we have an awesome opportunity here today to hear from a customer directly, AstraZeneca, and we're going to get into a number of different topics. Andrew just talked about DEX from Forrester's perspective, and I know Jason has done a lot of work around that, so we're going to dig into that, and we're going to hopefully figure out if security and operations can maybe be friends, maybe can work together in an organization to achieve shared goals and collaborate together. Before we get into the questions though, I do want to just take a moment and Jason, maybe give us some background on yourself in your history with AstraZeneca.
Sure, so I'm trained as a manufacturing engineer, but I joined AstraZeneca 9 years ago after a varied career in and out of IT. And I joined AstraZeneca actually in the customer experience area of IT, so the previous half an hour have been very relevant. So for the first 5-6 years, I was exclusively responsible for the end user experience of IT across EMEA and APAC. And so the customer experience of IT and how we can understand it was absolutely key to us. And then after that, and in parallel with that, I was actually responsible for the vaccine rollout IT. So all the IT that supported the vaccine rollout, and I bet some of the people in this room only know who AstraZeneca is because AstraZeneca was a key player in the COVID-19 vaccine. And then for the last 15 months, I've been building a team called Ops Enablement, and that's about bringing together our tools and enabling our IT professionals, IT operations, security, to get the most value from our tools together.
Fantastic. So I know this session is the topic is security and operations, frenemies, question mark, and we're gonna kind of dive into that next. So what are some of the challenges that you faced in your role supporting security, supporting operations, and are there conflicts along the way that you've encountered?
Yeah, and it's a very personal journey as well, because if I look at, say, the first 5-6 years, Tanium, for example, was just this agent on the machines that was there using up resources. That's all it was doing. From my perspective as a user experience of IT person, and that's because our security guys were in a silo. They owned Tanium, they did stuff with Tanium, it put load on the machines, and they did their stuff with it, which helped protect our environment. Meanwhile, we had other tools, and we still have other tools that give the customer experience, and that's what we're really driving. And IT operations weren't really using Tanium because it was a security tool. And so agent footprint from an IT operations perspective is a key challenge, and we want to absolutely reduce that for lots of reasons: complexity, the use of resources on endpoints, and also sustainability. So those of you, especially in the UK, if you read The Guardian, you may have seen our CEO, Pascal Osorio. He wrote a piece in The Guardian on Friday about sustainability and how larger corporations especially have a huge responsibility to make sure that we're sustainable for the planet and what we do. And AstraZeneca is key in that we manufacture pharmaceuticals. That has a huge potential impact on the environment and all those things. So if we can consolidate our agent footprint and our compute power, we're going to get huge sustainability benefits. And for example, using Tanium from an IT operations perspective, we've been able to do that because it focus our endpoint management on a small amount of tools and tune them. So for example, by tuning Tanium just over the last year, how much CO2 do you think we've saved from just the energy expended by the Tanium tuning, the Tanium activity we tuned out of? Any guesses? Nobody guessing, right? We've saved 20,000 kilograms a year of energy simply by tuning the Tanium agent. And by focusing on Tanium as our endpoint management agent, we can focus on that and focus on the payloads it gives out, and that's been a huge benefit. But it's also a conflict to your question, because on the other side, the security team, frankly, they want Tanium to be running deep scans all the time, if I was going to paint it extremely, and with huge data sets that we never throw any data, which has a load. So something we're beginning to do is introduce a better governance. So there's a balance between really getting the powerful security information out of Tanium without losing any of the key data, while at the same time tuning it and making sure the actual footprint of it is low, and at the same time meaning that we don't need to use other things as much, because a whole bunch of IT professionals and security professionals I've found as well in AstraZeneca, they have their own favorite tools, right? We get someone in from outside and they're used to using this tool and they want to use this tool, etc. A huge part of what we do is make sure we enable people to use the powerful tools we have, and that's centered on Tanium.
Mm-hmm. And I know we were talking about just right before this employee experience, digital employee experience, and that's been a very passionate area for yourself, and you've been working on this for a while now. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of what the work you're doing there?
Sure. So AstraZeneca is primarily a science company, and the employee experience of IT is fundamental to it, more fundamental than other companies I've worked in. I've worked in IT operations in banks, and then IT is the product. You know, you've got to get payments flowing. But in AstraZeneca, it's about enabling the scientists to do something, their experience of IT. And yeah, we have other tools that give digital employee experience. I'm incredibly excited by the fact that Tanium is expanding into that area. But the other side of it is, as AstraZeneca, because we're a science company, we have huge capabilities in AI. And we see how data and AI can be used in science in a huge way. The possibilities of AI to be used for digital employee experience, we haven't touched the surface, right? The current tools out there, Dex as it currently stands, is really openly quite basic compared to what we really could do if we took all our data about all our employees' interactions with IT and applied AI to that. That's going to be hugely powerful. And that's the roadmap I see Dex could go on.
Mm-hmm. So as we look ahead for this year and beyond as well, what strategic aims, priorities are you focused on, and how will you collaborate between ops and security to solve those, or to achieve those goals?
Yeah, something that was said earlier today is never forget the why, right? So we're here to get that employee experience of IT, but also to keep AstraZeneca secure. And to do that, we've talked about coverage already. AstraZeneca is also a manufacturing company. There are corners of our network where we don't yet have Tanium, and there's all sorts of reasons for that. It's not just the classic IT, it's behind a firewall, therefore it's difficult to get at. There's a bit of that. It's also because we have environments which, I guess the military might have this as well, where that environment is set in stone and certified, and to change that environment is a whole bunch of organizational change. So our priority is to really nail that and get Tanium into those darkest corners of the environment, because it's those corners that could be A, a security risk, and B, managing those corners is going to help us. And we think it will shine a light on those corners not maybe being managed from an IT perspective very strongly. The other note I made, and I've already referred to it, is understanding our data. The organization I'm building is beginning to have a data function to really consolidate the data from the tools so we can apply AI to it in a more innovative and interesting way to really help the digital employee experience. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I've got one final question for you, and we do have some time, so if folks have questions for Jason, we've got a couple mics that we're going to have in the audience here to pick up some questions. Promise is not a self-serving question, but I know this is something that you have expressed time and time again, so I thought it would be good to kind of hear your response. How are we doing? And when I say we, how is Tanium doing helping to support you and your team?
So Tanium is an organization, and I think we need to remember that. So Tanium is a great technology, and there's lots of great technology out there. But what's been hugely powerful for AstraZeneca is the way Tanium as an organization supports us. So the customer account TAM model is absolutely, for us, and I'm not just saying it because I'm here speaking at a Tanium conference, it is absolutely a differentiating thing. So the way Tanium have gone about having a customer account team and a TAM that's different from how I see TAMs operate in other software vendors we work with. It's not just about the individual, it's the way and nature of that TAM and the partner ecosystem. So I've seen some of the partners here and some of the partners we work with who have Tanium experts here and talked to them, reintegrated old connections there. the build of that ecosystem has been hugely powerful for us, and most specifically the TAM. The TAM is a virtual member of my team, which sounds like a cliche, and I'm sure people often say that, but there's three unique, I think, things around having the TAM as part of my team. One is clearly the deep knowledge of Tanium, but that's not just the deep knowledge of Tanium as a product, it's also the knowledge and resources that our TAM can tap into how Tanium is being used elsewhere and how Tanium could be used. Daily, weekly, this adds value. There's something even going on this week where the way we use Tanium to help patch our estate is being improved because of our TAM's wider knowledge. The second one is the TAM clearly is a technical person that understands technology. But the third one, which is really the powerful one, is in the TAM model. The TAM understands our environment. Now that again is a cliche, right? You could say, well, TAM's from software vendors, yeah, they know how many endpoints you've got, they know what software you've got. It's deeper than that. The TAM understands the topology of our environment. The TAM understands the issues around us talking about in manufacturing environments, about why we have to take those environments in a little type of a different way. The TAM even understands the politics of the various federated areas of a large company like AstraZeneca. Having that person as part of my team has been incredibly powerful. And it's actually very good that the TAM doesn't have access to any of our systems, because if they did, the temptation will be it'd be just another member of our team just doing stuff. It's not that. It's a unique role, and it's part of the team. That leveraged with professional services and working with our partners to do things with Tanium has transformed how we can use Tanium within our infrastructure and enable our organization to use Tanium beyond, I'd say, other companies and other technologies.
Yeah, and I know from our TAMs that work with you directly, they absolutely feel very privileged and honored to be able to work with you and your team as well. So thank you for the opportunity that you're providing us as well. So with that, I think we're going to have a couple mics here and some opportunity for some questions. I think we got one over there.
Got a volunteer for you.
Hi Jason, Stuart Dunn here. Jason, what's keeping you up at night? What's your biggest priority?
Data. At the moment it's data. So I can see the capability that we could have if we harnessed our data, both for IT ops and also for security, to really understand where we are. And all of our tools can generate all sorts of views. But what I haven't cracked with the team I'm building yet, and how we use our tools, notably Tanium, is how we get that picture in a way that we mine and provide insight. That has to be the next thing. Because the rest of the stuff is, I don't mean too dismissive, but it's just work, it's just operational stuff, right? We can all work on rolling out agents, we can all work on improving our patching, and using things like Tanium. And using Tanium, we've ensured that our daytime support staff don't need to work weekends because it's improved patching. But that's just work and enabling people technology. The thing that keeps me up at night is how do we actually take the data to take this to the next level across all these tools.
Far end over there.
Yeah, I have a question. If you could add one piece of functionality to the Tanium platform, what would it be?
It would be the ability to detect and install itself across our estate without the need for credentials, but that's magic, right?
Oh, did you have another question? Sorry.
Oh, I'm going to go for one for myself, actually.
Okay.
So, Jason, you touched on the pandemic slightly, and that's how you created brand awareness for AstraZeneca. Can you just talk us through what those first few weeks were like when we were all locked down at home? You know, the 10 people in the room, we missed out on our kickoff, we weren't allowed to fly, and we all felt quite sad for ourselves. But the fact that you were both on lockdown, but also then had this sense of mission, can you just talk us through those first few weeks?
There's only so much I could directly say as AstraZeneca's a drugs company. I need to be careful about clinical advice about vaccines, but it was an interesting one in that our experience was very different from a lot of our, and this is a very personal thing, it's not directly related to Tanium clearly, from our friends and colleagues that we personally knew. because suddenly we got quite busy, and we especially got, I don't know if people remember, but initially we weren't actually in the vaccine business. Once we were, it got hugely busy, and it was an absolute honour, and I'm getting tingles at the back of my spine just reliving it and saying it, to be the person that was responsible for all the IT for that vaccine rollout. IT operations and security were a key element of that, and I can say that Tanium was a key essential part of ensuring we could do that successfully. There's no doubt about that. In terms of what it was like, it was mad busy, right? So, it sounds obvious. My family used to tease me that on Wednesdays, I used to be teased it was Wicked Wednesday, because I'll be up and I'll be in my little box room in our house, and I'll be on calls with the APAC in the morning at 5, and my calls wouldn't finish till midnight every day, and I only left that room for comfort breaks, and that was it. Every day, and Wednesdays especially, all through the vaccine. But we did some amazing things and got exposed to some amazing things and experiences that I may never get the opportunity to have again.
Any other questions from the audience here?
We've got a question over here.
Okay.
I might be a little bit biased, but let's go with it. Over here, Jason. What do you see as the biggest benefit from moving from on-prem to now Tanium Cloud? That's one for the Barclay guys.
Day to day, I'm seeing two benefits of it. One is that it's kept up to date. Well, I know that's the release strategy in terms of it's easier then to, if there's a problem, to correct it. I know that might be the engineering reason why it's kept up to date more than the on-prem, but the fact it's kept up to date means we get things in it ahead of the on-prem. Now, we have some on-prem left due to the manufacturing situation I was talking about earlier, but it's the minority. And the ability to have the very latest code and the very latest functionality has helped us continually. So I'll start with a negative example and a positive example. One negative example is there was one point where there was a bug, but as soon as identified and it caused some issues, got fixed within hours. Doing that on-prem would have been a bit longer. And the positive thing is we can now see things, and we see things and get insight using the cloud ahead of our on-prem instance because it's continuously upgraded, and that's being used in anger. Only over this week we've taken advantage of functionalities like SBOM to actually help us operationally, and the fact we're in the cloud has allowed us to do that much more quickly.
Any more questions? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here, Jason. I appreciate your time, and sincerely thank you for the work that you and your team have done and will continue to do. We wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be able to be in a room together today if it weren't for those long days and nights. So thank you so much for all you've done. Let's give Jason a warm round of applause.